Okay, here we go. We're gonna pull for Charon, and we're going to show the rotation, okay?
The Earth's churning core
Let's see. Alrighty. Let's see what we're at. So we basically have no pity whatsoever. We're just going straight into it, I guess. 80 pulls. Okay. Well, here we go. Nothing. They added a button on CN where you could just like re-roll right here. Nothing. What is that, 30? Name day. That's pretty decent. 40. 50. He should be on this one probably. Nope. So this is 60. This is gonna be 70. And we got Kakanya. Okay. Alright, we just keep going. 1. Next one is guaranteed. 2. 3. 4. 120 pulls in, by the way. 5. Double? No, just a single. Okay. We're actually gonna do... We might do just P2. Right. Go to P2. So P1. But we're not gonna test with P2. 2. 3. 4. And 5. No, not on 5. Okay. 6. Do we hit the 50? Oh my goodness. It was at Willow this time. Alright. So next one is guaranteed. Okay. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Okay, we're hitting we're hitting soft pity on everything. 6. Should be here. Nope. Okay. Hard pity this time then. Okay. Alrighty. Finally got P2. And we're going to enhance him. Where is he?
Guten Tag. No.
Charon's best psychube is his own, remember? So you have to buy it in the shop. It's it's 210 fragments, I believe. Kind of unlucky with the spooks though.
This body
Willow.
endures.
Sorry, I'm still quite sick.
Beware of looking too deeply.
Alrighty. 30. Okay. And I'm gonna do the resonance pattern first, which is going to be hyper. Okay. And we're gonna use the plan. Okay. Wait. Okay, so
Guten Tag. Guten Tag.
we have his portrait up to P2, but we're not going to use it.
The Earth
And
churning
we're just going to show the rotation here.
and the isolines of magnetic declination during
Do we do reveries? Do we do reveries or do we do mains bulletin? Okay.
A soldier has no choice in his duties.
So, oh, I didn't buy his psychube.
Glare from my head. I'm sorry. I had no. Guten Tag. No, those aren't the right words, are they?
Okay, finally. Let's go look at the rotation real quick. We're gonna be using Kiparina because Ezra has inherent weaknesses when played with Charon. And do we do this or we'll go like this. Sorry, I'm still a little sick, so I'll be coughing and trying to clear my throat. Okay, so let's look at the rotation. We have Charon at P0, right? We have his Fear of Death debuffs rolled over here. We have Lucy with 28 Dynamo, and she's going to transfer 10 Dynamo when she uses her reinforced skill. We have Ulrich, who's going to transfer 15. Charon, who's going to transfer 20. He has 50 stacks of Shockwave and 1 stack of Consternation, right? And this is just Kiparina's buffs. So the plan is that we need to move Charon's Moxie, but also provide the buff card. So, you know, you're always going to start out with the buff card on Charon. If you're not running 2 intelligence or 2 other spirit characters, then you have to use 2 cards, right? In order to get your Moxie to cap, because you're gonna start with 3 Moxie. So the reason why I went for P2 there was because he'll be used later on in the future for that reason. So we also want to double buff and start our channeling on Ulrich, and we also want to use 1 skill on Lucy. Now, if we were running Ezra, for instance, we are extremely weak in the first 2 rounds because we can't get into level 2 Dynamo off the bat. So we'll probably would have had to buff on Ezra, but the Dynamo gain would still be the same. So our goal right now on turn 1 is to get 45, at least 45 Dynamo, right? So we want to be achieving 2 turns of ramping and then 2 turns of burst. So in total, Dynamo is a 4-turn cycle, right? So with that in mind, we're going to buff. We're going to double channel for our Ulrich, and then we're going to use 1 Lucy skill.
Targets were confirmed.
See how they oscillate. Decrypt the cosmos.
Enemy piece overloaded.
Okay, so I'm basically just going to show you a 1 Dynamo cycle sort of rotation. And the reason being is that after you do your first Dynamo rotation, the rotation itself is no longer as static. You have to make your own user-based choices on whether or not you're going to accelerate Charon's reuse of his ult, or you're gonna wait and try to build more win condition elements if you're running like Corvus, for instance, instead of Lucy. So for this turn, we're really not that pressured whatsoever. We could discard a card and then draw for Lucy to do more damage, but we also don't need to do that at the same time. But before I talk about that, this fight drains a Moxie from the character in the first position, and that's why Kiparina doesn't have any Moxie. But say for instance we're using Villa, right? Because the alternative to Kiparina would be Villa, and then Ezra will be the last option for this team. Now if I was running this Lucy and Ulrich Dynamo without Charon, I would be running Ezra 100%, because that's going to smooth the rotation into getting into level 2 Dynamo. So if I was running Villa, then I would try to use a healing card in order to get into my Rusulka form by turn 3. So there's 2 different types of Charon rotations, right? There's one rotation where you play as passively once you get into your first channeling state. What I mean by that is when you go into Dynamo, your first level 3 Dynamo, you're not going to have 4 stacks of Consternation, right? The reason why we want to achieve 4 stacks of Consternation is because that's when his buffs, as well as his debuffs, will really come online. That's when the premium buffs come online, and that's the amount of Consternation stacks that we want to maintain. And because the first cycle of Dynamo doesn't achieve that when you play Charon passively, you almost want to be using his skills in order to make sure that he gains enough Shockwave so that he can achieve the 4th stack of Consternation while we're in this first Dynamo cycle. So looking at this, our ult is not going to be free because we don't have simplified ritual. That only comes into play when we go into level 3 Dynamo, right? And the two targets that are going to get, or the two units that are going to get simplified ritual is Ulrich and Charon. So I'm trying to decide whether I should buff up, but I don't think I need to, right? I'm going to play his ult, and I'm going to move his Moxie forward, and that's also going to generate more shockwave for him. But then I'm also going to play 2 Lucy cards as well.
Enemy reaction. Predict targets where confirmed.
Sacrifice holds meaning only in its morning. Life is delicate and easily lost.
So the other rotation would be to play extremely passive on Charon until you need that last Moxie, and that's when you use it. So what ends up happening for that is you get your full buffs online when you go into your second Dynamo level 3. So that delays your burst, but it's also setting up your win condition for different characters, especially when you're playing Corvus. Yeah, so you might be wondering like why I wouldn't be funneling all my cards into Lucy right now. And the reason being is that I want to get the 4th stack of Dynamo before I ult on Lucy. Okay. So we're going to discard a card and then we're going to draw for Lucy to make sure to set up for her ult next turn, right? We need to move 2 Moxie in order to get her to ult. Ulrich's ult is going to be free because he has simplified ritual over here. And we also want to move Charon's Moxie again, even though his ult's going to come up at a, well, not a necessarily like an immediate time where we need to use it, but it's going to move us to that 4th stack of Consternation. Excuse me. Okay, so we're going to ult on Ulrich, and the reason being is we need to extend his channeling state, right? If we don't ult here, his channeling state will be gone and we have to use 2 skills. But if we do ult here, he's going to have his channeling state up until we come out of the first round of Dynamo, or level 3 Dynamo. We're going to ignore the manifest skills for now, right? We're just showcasing the rotation.
Enemy reaction predicted. Targets where confirmed.
So realistically, you would need to fit in a healer card somewhere, a support card somewhere along the line here. We're just playing pretty greedy. I think I might just do that.
This world, I've been thinking.
Enemy reaction.
Yeah, I
predicted.
think I might just
Targets
buff up
where
as well.
confirmed. Hold your breath.
Doom awaits within.
Through Hypatia's sacrifice, we have reached the stars.
Enemy piece overloaded. Breaking through.
Okay, so Ulrich's gonna be ulting here, and he's extended his channeling state now. And we also have, did you see? We also have 4 stacks of Consternation. So that's why we're starting to hit like a freaking truck, right? Now our Charon has 6 stacks of Consternation, and we're just doing as much burst as we can. If we had played passively and not used the extra Moxie for Charon on the first Dynamo cycle, what would end up happening is we would have 2 Consternation stacks or 3 Consternation stacks, and as a result, that's going to mean our damage isn't going to be as impactful during our first Dynamo cycle. Now that might delay like a Corvus, for instance, to reach her first 60 stacks, but for our scenario, we want to achieve the 5th Consternation as soon as possible. So our Charon's ult is going to be free, so we're definitely going to be using it. So the only thing else that we need to think about is to discard a card and draw more cards for Lucy, and just focus on doing as much damage as we can for our Lucy. So discard and then draw on Lucy. Use our Charon ult use our Lucy alt, and then use 3 skills, right?
Enemy react. Target's enemy reaction predicted.
Sacrifice holds meaning only in its warning. Life is delicate and easily lost.
Such a cool ult.
Queen to F6. A queen for a king. A fourth. We have taken a strong position. Breaking through.
Okay, right? That would be considered our main cycle for Dynamo. And you would apply this to the majority of fights. The only difference would be when you're running Ezra with this team, say that you're running, or you're lacking a healer like Kiparina, you would need to run Ezra because that's the only healer that you have. That's when things get a little tricky because we're not going into level 2 Dynamo. So his shrooms aren't going to be empowered at all, which means his shields are going to do like 1,000 to 800 shields. Let's see, what else have I not covered here? After that, this is we just go back into the normal cycle, right? We look at our Ulrich, right? He needs to go back into his channeling state. We're not really worried about his Moxie. He's getting drained of Moxie. So we would do that. And then we would play either a defensive card or we would try to push Moxie on Lucy as well. But from here on out, things are pretty much on autopilot, right? You want to make sure that you remember to get Charon in a position where he has an additional Moxie so as to not have his shockwave value plummet below like 100. Don't channel it for too long, otherwise it's just going to turn off, right? Okay, so that's it for me. Till next time.